As a Leeds United fan, you might have also been of the opinion that the away kit launch was going to be the biggest bit of news that we got today. After all, it's a very nice kit, it's a very nice sort of launch video, it's got a very, very good vibe to it, it's got a little bit of a cheese rolly vibe at the end. Give the video a watch if you fancy, and also get the kit with my link down below. It's how you support creators without paying any more. Basically, I get a little bit of a kickback from it. It's brilliant. Anyway, moving on. We have found out a little bit of news about a contract renewal that absolutely everybody was talking about for quite a while up until now. That being that of Ethan Ampadu. So, in this video I'm going to talk about what that contract is going to look like, how it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment from what he was on at the moment, what it means for the club going forward, and how it signals various bits and bobs for the transfer window for the foreseeable future. So, to start with, I'm going to get the very, very basic bits of information out of the way. First of all, this was actually information that was released by the club. It wasn't something that was leaked to Fabrizio Romano, it wasn't leaked to The Athletic, it hasn't come from an agent, it has directly come from the mouth of Parag Marathe, who was able to actually provide a statement to the media before it got leaked out by agents. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on that one in a little bit of time, but that I think is very, very important and tells a little bit of a story about what's going to come for the rest of the transfer window. It's a contract that is going to run until 2030, so we have at least 4 more years of Ethan Ampadu. The original contract ran until 2027. We have just learned that the club had an option of an extra year on top of that. I don't think that was widely publicised information prior to today, but Graham Smith's piece sort of mentioned that, which is potentially important. And Parag Marathe had a little bit of information to say about it as well. So he specifically said it is such an important step for this upcoming window. I haven't used this because I'm recording on my phone. And also mentioned that it's like having a member of sort of the ownership and the leadership team on the pitch, which is fairly important because it means that the entire club is behind this same vision of what the football club is going to be and what it's going to become, which is fairly significant because you'll get a lot of football clubs that aren't that. Look at Leeds under Jesse Marsh, for example. You had some players that were under Bielsa, some players that came in under Heckingbottom even. You had some players that came in under Marsh, and they all had different ideas of what Leeds United was and what Leeds United could be. However, with Ethan Ampadu on the pitch and with a squad that is entirely built as it is, like in the sort of image of our current tactical style and our current direction, we're doing pretty well, which I'm very, very happy with. He's already played 126 games for Leeds United in 3 seasons, which is a hell of a lot of football, especially when you consider the injuries that he's gone through. And I think it's a very significant signing, especially if you consider why it was done this early. So if you look back to 2023, Ethan Ampadu was one of the very first signings that we made as a club under Daniel Farke. Hello, Ella. Sorry, the dog wandered in for a moment. That being a sort of symbol of what he viewed as important on the football pitch. He saw that control over the midfield as a significant part of things. He saw that sort of dominance of possession as very, very important, which it absolutely is in our current style. And making this deal now, when we're moving into phase 2 of Daniel Farke's Leeds United, is equally important because we're going into the phase of, okay, we've done Championship, we've done emergent promoted side, let's do established team. And saying that that is still a key of our identity is absolutely huge, in my opinion. And we're sort of seeing him as like this foundation for our success. And it's going to have to be paired with other contract extensions. So, for example, I think that this signals that a big part of what Leeds are doing at the moment is around retention, and then we'll get onto hiring players, which, in my opinion, is only going to happen after the 30th of June, which makes sense because that's when the sort of PSR squad cost ratio, whatever you want to call it, the financial regulatory deadline switches over from 25-26 to 26-27, which makes sure that we are in the position to comply with last season whilst then investing next season. That's the better way of doing it. So up until that point, I think the majority of what we will see is either announcements of players that we will sign after that date, or contract extensions for the likes of maybe Caldalo, Ethan Ampadu, perhaps Pascal Struijk, and potentially Daniel Farke. That is going to be the big one, in my opinion. If Daniel Farke extends, then that's a sign that the 49ers have heard his sort of plea/warning in that press conference a while ago and gone, right, I've set out my stall and said that we need to invest, and if you don't invest, then what's the point in me being here? They've said that they'll invest, and now I'm here for even longer. That's going to be a big signal to look out for, but also this entire sort of Ethan Ampadu saga, the fact that it isn't a saga is in itself incredibly significant. The fact that it's just been a case of, yeah, we heard from Graham Smith, who got a press release from Parag Marathe, is a sign that that sort of working in silence side of the 49ers is here and is back. Because recently it's been a case of, like with the Pie Show deal, for example, it was just, right, okay, we're going to chase him for a month and a half, and then it's not going to get done. But that's going to happen with countless players, time and time and time and time again. The only reason it was stirred into a little bit of a frenzy was the fact that we knew about it, as opposed to not knowing about it, which is the case for the bulk of transfers. That sort of getting deals done in silence, getting them done quietly before they're publicly available, is what the 49ers did a hell of a lot of in their first season at the club. And that sort of continued evolution of that is ultimately what's going to get everyone feeling a little bit more secure about what things look like at the moment. So not only a case of retention, but a case of doing it a little bit quietly. And it sets the tone for the 49ers yet again. For me, it's also a very strong signal for any potential signings that we want to make. We have a player in Ethan Ampadu who could easily fetch very, 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 very big fees. He's 25 years old. He is a key part of a Premier League club. He's their captain. And he is, let's be honest, a relentless machine in the midfield. Sides like a Chelsea, who previously had him and didn't sort of nurture that talent well enough, could look at him and go, we could do with some of that. Like, especially if Enzo Fernandez is leaving. There we go. Sides like a Man United who are losing Casemiro could potentially look at him and go, that could be quite nice. On the contrary, we've gone, no, we're not going to accept any bids. It would take a hell of a lot of cash for him in the first place, but we're saying we're securing our best talents and we're going to build upon that, rather than what some clubs will do and say, shit, been in the Premier League for a season, maybe it's time to sell some assets to get some others in. No, we're saying that this prized asset isn't going to go anywhere. We're going to keep him, we're going to build on top of that, and any signings that are looking at Leeds United as an option are going to look at us and go, you know what, they actually mean business here. Whereas other sides, you could potentially see players going out, and you could see potential signings going, I don't know about that. They're looking a little bit wobbly. Like, the number of players that someone like a Nottingham Forest will potentially have to sell is massive, because they're never in the best financial position possible. Like, Gibbs White is probably going this summer. Let's be completely honest here. But we're not in a position where we have to do that. We're protecting our assets rather than sort of letting them free to the highest bidder. And I think a potential signing looks at that and goes, this is a club that means business, and let's see where they can take me. So hopefully this isn't just a case of Ethan Ampadu has signed a new 4-year contract. Hopefully this indicates a hell of a lot in terms of potential for growth and potential for improvement at Leeds United over the next season or so, which would be wonderful. Anyway, as always, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. In addition to that, if you haven't got the away kit yet and you're considering it, go to the link that is down in the description and pick one up via there, because it means that I get a chunk of the fee. I don't know if I'm allowed to say necessarily how much it is. I've forgotten if I said earlier, but either way. But I get a chunk of whatever you pay, which means that it doesn't go to Adidas, which is absolutely wonderful. I think it's Fnatic specifically it doesn't go to. So even better, you can get it away from a third party and give it to a creator that you support, which would be fantastic. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Probably when I'm at my normal setup. Toodaloo.